they get, don't want to say bullied, because I don't think anybody means anything intentional, but you have your firearms companies out there that are kind of the whipping boy all the time. They always get kind of picked on, beat up on. High Point, let's talk about like High Point. It usually happens to them. They're the butt of a lot of jokes out there. Rarely do you see a company like 6 Hour that takes it on the chin like they've gotten this past week. It's pretty remarkable, if you ask me, how everything is going down this week. And again, it all kicked off with the Omaha Outdoors guys. They put this video right here out, and if you haven't seen it, we'll run through it here in a second. But if you haven't seen it, it's pretty, I don't know, it's surprising to me. I would have never expected the Sig to fire like it does, being dropped like it does. We have a Sig P320 right here. Again, drop safety. Got some guys checking in right now live. I'm watching the monitor right here. One of the things that everyone has kind of talked about was that you've got your Sig P320 that's falling and it's hitting like this in these videos. And that's what's causing it to fire. There were so many other ways. I've seen him hit a 320 with a hammer and it went off. Yeah, I saw that too. Somebody had an armorer's hammer and they struck it the same way, like right in here, as if it were falling in that same way. And by the way, we are in the Temple of Boone. None of our guns are loaded in here. So anyway, the gun was falling like this, and they're firing. I want to say 70% of the time these guys were getting these things to fire. Now, I haven't done this yet. Quite frankly, I apparently have the money that Omaha Outfitters do, or Omaha Outdoors, whatever they have, because I'm not throwing my guns on the ground right now. I do have two Sig P320s. This is a 40 caliber, and I have the subcompact version, which is in 9mm, and both great guns. I carry the 320, the 9mm all the time. Yeah, the bigger problem now is the lawsuit. There is a $7 million lawsuit. If you see me looking at this monitor and mentioning something, it's because a lot of people are commenting up here, and I'm reading the comments. And I do want to include you guys' comments as I see them. So please continue to comment. What about the military contract? Let me digress real quick for a second. I'm going to take these notes down so we can address these. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure that I address everyone that's talking in here. First, let's talk about these guys. And what I'll do is I'll play the video real quick. Not that I expect you guys to listen to it, but I will at least get to the parts where he's dropping the gun, the pistol in many cases. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Anybody that hasn't seen it, okay, this is where they're talking about the safety of the firearm itself. And this all kind of stems from a Dallas police officer who accidentally shot himself. No, I'm sorry. A Connecticut, I think, police officer. The Dallas Police Department, I believe, ruled the pistol unsafe, so they stopped allowing their guys to carry it. But I'm pretty sure the lawsuit's in Connecticut. It's up in the Northeast, I know that for sure. So anyway, this guy goes on to explain what's happening with the pistol. He's demonstrating the types of drop tests that they had with the military test and some of the other types of tests that actually are required to make a pistol deemed safe enough to sell to the commercial public in the United States. So all those tests were performed. This is the test right here. That's the one that is not required based on U.S. safety standards. This type of test, that angle that they're running this right now, this test on, dropping the pistol at that angle, about a 30-degree angle, that is not required by the U.S., the SAMI, any of those requirements out there to deem a pistol safe for sale in the United States. So that is one of the issues that you have going on right now with this pistol. You have people out there that are arguing, saying that this pistol is technically and by law, by United States law, safe. It's perfectly, it can be deemed safe, and Sig can continue to call it safe, technically, because it is. Based on the standards required to sell a pistol commercially in the United States, this pistol is still deemed perfectly safe. So regardless of this test, regardless of what you're seeing right here. So yeah, this test right here, probably, hey everyone, I'm trying to catch you guys as you check in. And again, remember my eyes are bad, so I can't really see very well. Yeah, this test right here that these guys from Omaha Outdoors, I think, that they're performing. The problem with this test is it's given Sig Sauer a lot of bad press out in the general public because this is the age of social media. You can't do anything without everybody hearing about it. The problem is whether this would be official or not, whether this would even get scrapped as being a test, which it kind of is right now, being kind of dismissed as a test that doesn't count because this is not a safety standard or a particular drop test that is normal for a pistol to be deemed safe to be sold in the United States. This test, even though it gets scrapped, the damage is done. You know what I mean? The damage is already done. It's not like you can undo all of the negative press, the meme wars. You know, I put it in one of our blogs on legallyarmedamerica.com. One of the comments I made about it was that this couldn't have come at a worse time. You know, and I'm not picking on the Glock guys because, I mean, I have plenty of Glocks. I mean, there's a Glock sitting right there. I'm a fan of all guns. I'm not trying to beat up on any one company, but the Glock guys in general, because they felt like they should have had, and again, I'm reading that weapon has a manual safety and upgraded trigger already. The Glock guys expected and kind of thought that their pistol was going to be the one that would win the military contract for the Army. Well, they didn't, and that really aggravated those guys. They're really, really mad about that. And what happens is, you know, there's some hurt feelings. I don't want to say hurt feelings. I'm not picking on the Glock guys, but there's some ill feelings out there because they still feel like they should have won that contract with the U.S. government, U.S. Army. Then this comes out. So the Glock guys are taking full advantage of this. They really feel like they have a superior pistol with the Glock versus the Sig Sauer P320, and they're letting the world know it right now. I mean, they're really, really hammering these guys. So again, I'm not saying that this is unnecessary by any stretch. My thing is, the timing couldn't be any worse for Sig. I will say this, and one of you guys asked about it a minute ago, what about the military contract? This does not affect the military contract. It doesn't affect it at all. And you see, I'm on YouTube right now. This is just going, it's rotating through right now, just playing video upon video of people who are performing particular drop tests with the Sig P320. So it's really got a lot of people doing a lot of crazy stuff out there right now. But yeah, very, very interesting, the type of test going on. Again, the timing couldn't have been worse for Sig right now. But when you look at it, it's really, in fact, what really didn't help Sig any, I'll be honest with you, and I put this in my blog, was, let's see here, which honestly, this test right here, guys, I have not watched this test. All I saw was a screenshot of this. This is Jeremy S. When I saw the screenshot of this, the first thing I thought of, okay, first of all, these guys, about the same way, yeah. Somebody's saying we need to drop the M&P and the Glock the same way so that we can find out, in essence, essentially if the 320 is more unsafe than those guys, since we haven't really seen a test like that up to this point. But yeah, look, these guys have vests on. Okay, that tells me one of two things. I'm not trying to pick on these guys, but it's just driving me nuts. Either they have bullets in the gun that they're about to shoot, so they're trying to protect themselves, or they don't have bullets in the gun that they're fixing to shoot, and they look like a couple of idiots. So I'm just saying. I wrote a blog on this at legallyarmedamerica.com, and the comments that I made in here was, let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. Yeah, basically I put a blog out the day after Sig Sauer put their letter out. Sig Sauer put their letter out saying, in essence, our gun is still safe, which technically it is. And we'll get into another article here in a second that I found online. Technically it is still safe, and technically it's still legal for them to say that it's safe. Understand there have been lawyers circling this whole topic for a week now. But one of the things that kind of, I guess, perplexed me a little bit about Sig, how they've handled this, is when all of this came out and they ended up releasing their letter, their voluntary, not recall, I don't want to call it a recall because all these terms have legal ramifications in terms of how you use them. It's a voluntary upgrade that Sig is calling it. In their letter, they word it like this: and I've got this on our website. If you go to legallyarmedamerica.com, you can see it. It's one of the top stories featured up there right now. But one of the paragraphs that they put in there was that the design of the Sig Sauer P320 overcomes the most significant safety concern in striker-fired pistols today, the practice of pressing the trigger for disassembly. This can be performed with a round in the chamber, which has resulted in numerous incidents of property damage, physical injury, and death. The disassembly process of the P320, however, uses a takedown lever rather than pressing the trigger, eliminating the possibility of discharge during the disassembly process. If that isn't a stab at Glock, I don't know what it is. Because, you know, Glock has taken it upon themselves to really lead the charge. And I say Glock, not the company in general. I don't think it's the company in general. Although Glock, the company, has made some digs towards Sig and the P320 this week. And I think they removed one from their Instagram or one of their Twitter posts or something like that. But nevertheless, the Glock guys, I think this is aimed at them. Because Sig has taken so much heat from the Glock community this week over this that it just seemed, I don't want to say petty, because Sig is a very respectable company, and I don't have any problems with Sig. I think they're a great company. But they definitely, I feel like, shouldn't have included this, because I understand why they're doing it. They're basically saying that the reason why they don't have some of the same issues that, or the reason why they design their gun differently than Glock, is because they feel like it's a safer gun in general. That's kind of what they're saying here. But in light of what's going on right now and seeing all the drop tests where the guns are going bang when you drop them like this, to me, that's not the right wording. Their lawyers may have been okay with this, but I don't think their PR people made wise choices on how they worded this and put this out to the general public. It just seems kind of like I said, petty, like they're bitter, like they're mad, and like they're saying, yeah, you know, kind of a thumb in the eye towards the Sig Sauer, the Glock guys. So to me, it was kind of unusual how they put that out there. The entire letter, I think, is very well written. It's got legal speak written throughout it. It's clearly attorneys had every bit of hand in this, because not one time does this letter mention that there's anything wrong with the gun, that the gun is broken, that it needs fixing. Again, like they say, it's a voluntary upgrade. The fact that it's voluntary and not mandatory also makes it sound less like it's an issue, because, hey, if you want to send it in, that's fine, you can send it in, but you don't have to. It's kind of what they're saying here. I will read through the letter real quick, not to bore you guys, but if you haven't seen it or heard of it yet, let me go through it real quick. The thing, it's titled 6 Hour Issues Voluntary Upgrade of P320 Pistol. P320 pistol meets requirements, and they started out like this. P320 pistol meets requirements for industry and government safety standards, performance testing protocols for global military and law enforcement agencies. Okay, this is where it starts getting into it. The design of the 6 Hour P320 overcomes the most significant safety concern. That's what we just talked about kind of saying these striker-fired pistols out there already had issues, and that they're pretty much saying that their trigger assembly is different than everybody else's, and that they designed it to be, you know, I guess in essence they're saying, okay, you don't have to pull our trigger. It's got a takedown lever here instead of the trigger. So hey, ours is actually safer, because when you're taking it down now, you don't have to fire the trigger, drop the hammer or the striker on the inside in order to clear the gun, so to speak. Not clear the gun, but in order to release the gun or the slide to where you can actually disassemble it. So that's where it kind of, they're throwing a little bit of shade on Glock by saying, hey, yeah, you know we have some issues that we're addressing here, but guess what? You can disassemble our gun and not have to worry about dropping the trigger, you know, pulling the trigger on it. To me, why bring that up? You know what I mean? Why are you saying that my gun has an issue, but your gun has one too? You know what I mean? I don't see the point, and it's not even like they're related. They're not related topics. It's not even a trigger issue that Sig is referring to whenever they say this in their letter. They're just saying, yeah, we have a problem with our trigger, but if you tear down our Glock, you can shoot somebody because you have to pull the trigger first. It's just not relevant. I don't see the point in it. And I'm not trying to pick on Sig, because I'm a Sig guy. I mean, I love Sigs. I like all guns. There's a Sig there. There's a Sig there. There's a Sig right there. There's a Sig right there. So, I mean, I'm not anti-Sig at all. Not anti-Glock either. Again, my whole point is keep this thing professional, be the better company. Let me go on a little bit to some of the other things that it says here. Recent events indicate that dropping the P320 beyond U.S. standards for safety may cause an unintentional discharge. Now keep in mind, Sig is right. Sig is right about this. All of these, every single standard up here that is required of Sig, every single standard, in order to sell this gun and to be able to make it safe for Americans to buy, 3 or 4 different U.S. agencies have deemed this pistol safe to be sold to U.S. consumers. That's not going to change unless they change the rules of how you drop test pistols in order to clear them so that they're now safe to be sold to the general public. You can't just all of a sudden say, all right, now the SIG, it fails this test because we saw this Omaha Outfitters or Outdoors video. Now you're going to have to take every single pistol that you've already cleared and allowed to go out and be sold to the general public in America. Now you have to take every single one of those pistols. Now you got to do a drop test. And I'm saying if you're going to determine that now the SIG is unsafe to be sold to the general public, if you're going to determine that this is something that you want to measure now, and if it fires like this, it's not just this pistol that's going to be taken off the market and off the shelves in the stores. Now you have to take every single other pistol that you previously cleared, and now you have to do that drop test on every one of those, including the SIG. Now, all these organizations up here, ANSI, SAMI, NIJ, they all have to start performing this exact same test again. So even they can't, based on somebody else's test that they saw on YouTube, even they can't deem this pistol unsafe to be sold to the American public. They have to run their own tests on the SIG, but they also have to run that on every other handgun out there that's currently being sold to the general public. So I'm not saying that that won't happen. It's very possible that will happen. It's very possible that enough people are going to see this and see this issue of this thing getting dropped like this. I'm really trying to read you guys. Once for infringement. No, that's a different story about the patent infringement against SIG. Yeah, I mean, I don't see, and I don't think it's a matter of, oh, that's too much work. Let's not go through the SAMI standards and all that, and let's don't deem the SIG unsafe and all that. I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know where this is going to go from here. I think that the drop tests for the SIG have opened up a lot of eyes right now that this could be an issue. There's a $7 million lawsuit right now going on. Again, I think it's in Connecticut. That lawsuit, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm no lawyer, the guy's probably going to win this thing, It's one of those deals where it may not, just because it wasn't a measurable rule with SAMI and ANSI and all those guys out there as far as how you measured a gun to see if it were safe or unsafe, it's not, that has nothing to do with it. The fact that it still is unsafe, I mean, God, for God's sakes, there's people out there spilling hot coffee from McDonald's in their lap and winning lawsuits. I mean, don't you think this guy's going to win his lawsuit? He is. I mean, without question, he's going to win it. The problem is, and I really do believe this, and you're going to think that I'm being a conspiracy theorist or I'm being sinister about this, don't think that there's not some Yahoo out there, some guy that plays his, grandma's lucky numbers every single week in the lottery, who's not going to shoot himself in the leg, a non-life-threatening injury, or in the foot, or in the hand. Do not think that that's not going to happen. As long as SIG does not make it a mandatory recall instead of an upgrade, as long as SIG is making it a voluntary upgrade and not a mandatory recall, I'm predicting it right now, right here, right today. It's 10 minutes till 11 o'clock Central Standard Time on Friday evening, August the 11th. Somebody is going to purposely shoot themselves in the hand, the foot, the leg, a non-life-threatening injury. They're going to sue SIG, and there's a very good chance they'll win. Now, it's going to be up to SIG and their attorneys to prove that this guy did this accidentally, or on purpose, I should say, not accidentally. The damage is done, though. They're opening up the door. Again, the fact that they can even say that the prosecuting attorneys can even say SIG was negligent, knowing that even after seeing the video, even though it's not an official video, it's still a video. It's a real video. they can say that SIG was negligent because they saw this and they still didn't make it mandatory. So they're saying that okay, you're letting people out there that may not have the mental capacity to make that decision on their own, because there are people out there like that. What caliber is that, Henry? I think that's a 22 long rifle. I don't have any of the big ones in here, but I'm about to get a 30-30 in here. Sorry to digress on that, guys. But anyway, I think that you're going to open up some doors where there's going to be some frivolous lawsuits out there. There's probably going to be some people that don't shoot themselves, that fire the gun into their ceiling or into a baby's crib or something like that, and they're going to basically say, "This has terrorized my family. My family is scared of guns now." And you see what I mean? You see where this can go? I mean, it can go in so many different places right now. And again, I'm not trying to bash or beat up SIG on all this, because I'm not sending mine back. I mean, I've seen the comments online, you don't drop your gun until you drop your gun. I just don't drop my guns. I mean, I'm a little more careful with my guns than that. I don't accidentally drop my guns. Think about it. Have you ever dropped your guns? I don't drop my guns. I simply don't drop my guns. Maybe I'm perfect. Maybe I'm just a little safer than some people. Maybe I'm a little more conscious of my guns. Maybe I handle my guns a little better than the average person if I'm not dropping them all the time. I don't drop my guns. I don't see the need to send this back. Now, once all the fury and everything dies down, I may send it back, because my guess is it's probably going to come back with probably a better trigger. Because one of the tests that I saw on here, on this, let's see, not these guys, who's the other guys here, the Omaha guys. Yeah. One of the things they talk about is that they had a pistol that a P320, that they dropped, and it was one of them they could not get to misfire. They could not get it to fire. And there was something that was done with that particular pistol, like a trigger job of some sort, that actually made the trigger, they thought, it made it a lighter trigger. Something that was done with the trigger in here and actually made, and again, this sounds kind of backwards, it made the trigger a lighter pull. And you're probably thinking in your mind like I did, well, a lighter pull, that's probably easier for it to misfire whenever it hits like this. But for some reason, what they had done to the trigger to lighten it, SIG had done this. This was a SIG job. Something about a bar or something they had put inside of it that made the trigger a lighter trigger, but actually prevented it from misfiring. So again, my point is, I'm probably going to eventually send my guns off for that reason, because I think I'll end up coming back with a better trigger. The triggers on these SIG, that's one thing that I've always liked about these guns. They have such a great trigger. I mean, they really, for a striker-fired pistol, they've got an amazing trigger. So if you can improve on that, even better. It's kind of like sending it to a custom shop, which SIG is going to be very, very busy with these, because, I mean, I suspect a lot of people are going to do it. But I don't know enough about the details going on right now. I don't know who's paying for it. If you're FedExing it back to SIG, UPS won't carry a gun. By the way, if any of you guys out there are wanting to send your pistols back, UPS won't carry guns. UPS won't even ship magazines. I found out the hard way. We had some drawings and some giveaways, and I tried to send some magazines, some empty AR-15 plastic magazines out, some Hex Mag magazines, to some winners. UPS wouldn't send them. It's a gun item, a gun part. So stay away from UPS, guys. If you're using them now, not a very gun-friendly company. But FedEx is who's going to be the one you're going to want to send. United States Postal Service, I'm not sure how they work on that, but I do know that FedEx is, I think, by far the best company, to send your pistol back. So anyway, this is all an interesting development here. These guys over here at Omaha Outfitters, man, they've actually pulled the pistols off of their shelves. And I've talked to some gun dealers out there, and they're thinking about doing the same thing. If it fits, it ships. I've tried that before. I've actually got some steel targets in from it in the if it fits, it ships boxes before, and it's like they weigh 75 pounds, but they fit. I know that ticked off the United States Postal Service. But anyway, Yeah, this whole Sig thing, you know, I bet Glock sent Omaha a fat check. You know, that's not a bad thought there. I mean, it wouldn't shock me one bit if these guys over here at Omaha Outfitters are getting some deals and some breaks and some cool little kickbacks, so to speak, legal kickbacks, not illegal, legal ones, because they are pushing other guns. Because Sig had a huge chunk of the market share out there. I don't know how much it's affecting Sig right now in their other firearms or anything like that, but the P320, I imagine they're probably not flying off the shelf, but my guess is, remember the little dust up that that Springfield had, where they, I hate to use the word colluded because it sounds like a freaking liberal term that they've already adopted for their own. But remember whenever Sig had that issue where they were kind of backdooring the Illinois people and making that deal with the state as far as the new law that was going to benefit them but hurt everybody else? Remember how Springfield got a big black eye on that? All of a sudden you started seeing these deals on Springfield pistols out there and Springfield weapons. I think that's probably what's going to happen on the P320. You hold out long enough and have a little bit of faith in a good company, because Sig is a good company, and you're going to find probably some decent deals on this. You know, they've got all the new ones that came out, the ones with the RMR sights on it. I forget all the models they've got. The P320X, I forget the model, but it's something X. I mean, they have some amazing 320s that they have made available since January. So I definitely am sorry we're watching a commercial here of some chick. But yeah, I mean, you might see some stuff coming up pretty soon that you might find some, again, some decent deals on these P320s. So yeah, I mean, it's, what a week for Sig, you know. I mean, I feel bad for them because I do think they're a good company. We've run into and met and visited with some of those guys before. They seem like great people. They seem like they're run well. They're run with determined, you know, very, very determined to try to be the best at what they do. And I like that. I mean, I like that confidence at a company. I like the Glock guys. You know, Glock perfection. That's, I mean, they think their product is the best. I think that's awesome. I dropped my Glock and it's Sig fired. That's hilarious. That's pretty good. The memes, the Glock memes have been unbelievable. Love my P229. Yeah, I have P226 and I love it. Let's see. This was an interesting blog post by the bloggers are throughmylens.org, photography and more. Maybe they do firearm photography. I don't know. But they go through here and they talk about their thoughts on the P320, and they make some pretty good points in here. I'm going to take a swig of my beer, guys. If you want to do the same. What they say is, again, two very valid points. The Sig Sauer P320 does meet industry ANSI SAMI standards for being considered drop safe. It passes that test. It may not pass Omaha Outfitters test, but it passes the federal government's test that they're running. Which means that at a minimum, the P320 is at least as drop safe as any other firearm sold in the U.S. per industry standard testing. Now again, that's pretty important to show right now. The P320 is at least as drop safe as any other firearm sold in the U.S. per industry standard testing. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen these same tests run on a Glock or an M&P or an H&K. We haven't seen any of that. So until they're all subject to the same exact test, it doesn't really, you can't say that Sig is the one that's losing to safety and everybody else is winning. You can't do that. I mean, until somebody takes all these pistols out there, which might not be a bad idea for a video out there if one of you guys want to do this, take 4 of the top selling striker fired pistols out there, probably Glock, Sig, P320, M&P, and what's the Springfield, XD. You know, take those 4 guys out there. Now, the Springfield, unless it's just incorrectly made, is going to be, I'm not mistaken, Glock had the same problem in 2009. There was a problem with a Glock 9mm back around 2009. I don't know if it was a drop test issue, but there was an issue with it. I forget what it was. Something substandard was made on the gun. Anyway, if you take those 4 pistols, the Springfield XD, and I'm not a Springfield guy. Again, I got Springfields in here, but I'm not, you know, a flag-bearing Springfield Armory guy. But their XDs do have a grip safety. That pistol is not going to fire when you drop it. I know this. Mechanically, it's just not possible for it to happen. Like a 1911, it's just not going to fire. So if you ran those tests on those 4 guns, granted, some of them may misfire. This one probably will. 70% of the time is what the stats are showing right now. But I think you may find that some of the other guys may have issues too. I want to see some Glocks run through that test. The M&P. I'd love to see that as well. So maybe that's what needs to happen, but again, this is a very valid point that per ANSI and SAMI standards, this pistol right now, in terms of the definition and what tests have to be run in order to make these things legal to be sold to the general public in the United States, this pistol is just as safe as all the others. And they're right in terms of industry standard. This test that you saw with the Omaha Outfitters is not an industry standard test. Okay. The second point, because the Omaha Outdoors test is outside any commonly used industry standard, which is what we just discussed, or testing protocol, we don't know how many other firearms currently being sold in the U.S. would, like the P320, fail under the specific conditions found in the Omaha Outdoors test. Exactly what we were just saying. Would all other guns fail? We don't know that. We know that the Springfield's probably not going to fail, again, unless that grip safety is incorrectly manufactured and built. Maybe some, perhaps none. We simply don't know. But it's not unreasonable to speculate that the P320 would not be the only firearm in the U.S. to fail under these specific test conditions. That's fair. I mean, it's fair enough. We don't know. Simply because we don't know, it's hard to beat up on just SIG. Again, there's only a video on SIG right now. You know, I do think this, and I really mean this, and I'm not trying to beat up on SIG again. I hate to keep throwing that disclaimer out there, but I'm not. But in my mind, I really do believe this. If the Glock were susceptible to the same type of drop test, that 30-degree test falling on the back of the slide in the back of the frame, I really believe you would have seen a video of it by now. I really believe that. I don't think that, you don't think there's a P320, a lot of SIG P320 guys out there, a lot of SIG guys, period, that are out there saying, I have a Glock, I'm going to prove that this Glock does it too. If the Glock, I saw a video of a Glock being hit on the ass end of it and it fired too. I haven't seen that. If you've got a link, send it to us. One of our viewers on here just said that they have seen a Glock getting hit like that and it fired. So if you have that, I'd love to have it. You know, if you don't mind emailing me the link at paul@legallyarmedamerica.com, I'd love to see it. I'd like to post it too. And again, I'm not trying to, you know, relieve SIG of any kind of you know, bad press or whatever. God knows they've gotten their share of this week. But again, I mean, if there are videos out there of some of these other pistols, a lot of these other companies out there that are kind of piling on to SIG right now, they are going to surface. You know, people are going to find these videos, and at some point, everybody's going to have egg on their face if their guns are in fact susceptible to the same type of drop test malfunctions. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you find it, let me know. So yeah, I mean, this is a great article right here. It puts out some points right there that make great sense. It's just one of those kind of things where there's so much happening this week with SIG. It doesn't seem to be dying down. You know, with their issue of putting the letter out and all that, that really surprised me. It surprised me, the wording of the letter and how it was worded. I get that they, you know, when you feel like you're backed into a corner, sometimes you come out, you know, kind of fighting. That's kind of like what I took this as. You know, SIG was a little ticked off about it, and they came out, you know, swinging. Is it the same video? The trigger had been modified and deemed unsafe. I have seen a video of a Glock that misfired, and it definitely, I think the video I saw was somebody had modified their trigger. This was a couple of years ago. This wasn't a recent, it wasn't with all this news right here. But it was one of those ones that you kind of watch and you're like, you know, anytime somebody takes a pistol apart and starts tearing it apart and you know, jacking around with it, I don't really give it a whole lot of thought, because I'm like, you know what, it's not stock anymore. Once somebody starts you know, filing or replacing parts or something like that, it's not stock anymore. You can't blame Sig for anything that happens, or anybody else, Glock for that matter, when a guy starts to modify the trigger. That's not something I'll put on Glock. You can grab me another beer if you don't mind. All right, guys. I'll open it up to any questions you guys might have now. Kind of covered all that. Again, I know the SIG topic was such a hot topic all week long that I felt like we needed to kind of talk about that a little bit, kind of put it to bed. May not expand on it too much more unless there's any new developments or anything like that. I want to, real quick, well, we got, I guess, somewhat of a break here. I want to thank, you know, a lot of people that make this happen. Should grab another beer. Go grab your beer. Somebody said, damn it, Paul, and I can't read the name. Damn it, Paul, now I have to go grab another beer. Go grab you one. I'll wait on you. I'll wait on you. We're not going anywhere. I want to thank Armscore Ammo. They really make a lot of things possible for us. Not to mention the fact that they provide us ammo, you know, great ammo. And I'm not just saying that because they provide it to us. We've gotten a lot of free ammo from a lot of different companies out there that provide us ammo for either shooting competition or the reviews that we do. By far, some of the most consistent rounds that I find are from Armscore. It's made out in Nevada, and I think I want to say it's Montana. They have a plant that they built up. Big, beautiful facility. Brazen Sports, they make brazen watches. Great company. Hope you guys will check them out. I mean, their watches are pricey, but they last. They're awesome, and they have a full line of new ones that will be coming out very, very soon. Definitely want you to check out Battle Juice. That is actually our brand. Battle Juice is our very own brand of energy drink. This is the sugar-free. We have sugar ones also. You know, definitely check them out if you get a chance. BattleJuiceEnergy.com. They're a great company of ours. I feel like I'm missing somebody. There's somebody else I probably need to throw some love at, and I can't think of who it is right now. And I know that's probably going to get me in some trouble here. But, yeah, just looking around. I don't know who I'm missing. But anyway, those guys make it possible for us to be able to do stuff like this. So I really appreciate that. How about that article on serial imprinting on primer by the firing pin? That's great topic. That is one of the craziest things. If you guys are not aware, and I will see if I can find it real quick. I'll try to post the link. Let me see here. That's what I like about putting this computer right here that we could all kind of look at while we are serial printing. Article came out this week, and it's one of the stupidest things. This has come up before. Bullet journal, Sigma ways, how to add serial numbering. Let me find something that's current up here. See, I can't find any of the articles. It's a current article from this week. It was about putting kind of the micro stamping of the bullets, putting a serial number or a identification mark on the primer. And what is that going to do? I mean, seriously, what is that going to do? Other than, you know, I guess that's kind of like you're going to fill out, every time you buy a box of bullets, you're going to write down what lot you have. And just as stupid as if you steal a gun and you go use it in a crime, what good does it do if it's even registered? You know what I mean? I mean, criminals are criminals for a reason. They steal the things that they commit crimes with. Do you honestly feel like these criminals are going to go out there with their stolen gun, but decide that now I want to follow the law, so I'm going to go buy my micro-stamped bullets? It's just, the gun-grabbing community they're so whacked out in the mind. Their liberal mindset blows my mind because it's so stupid. The things that they think and believe are just stupid. I'm gonna see if I can find that real quick because it was. You know what? It's entertaining. It's entertaining. That's about all I can say. It's not anything you want to take serious. Maybe this is it. Don't you love pop-ups? I do. Thinking of trying. Come on, man. How many pop-ups can you give me? When was this? When did it come out? I'm trying to find a date on this article, and I do not see a date on it. No, this isn't it. I don't know what this is, but that's not it. I can't find it. I can't find the article. I had it just the other day, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, it was just a stupid idea. You're going to micro stamp. I don't know if they were going to put an individual serial number. I think it was just an identifier because obviously there's only so much room on a primer, so much real estate on a primer to print something. But imagine what better way to legislate guns away than with non-existent technology. Yep, true that. I think, you're talking about that, I think that in terms of legislating guns to be, I guess, inoperable, so to speak, is instead of legislating the guns away, you legislate the ammo away. And I truly believe that by these guys, I think the micro-stamping topic is just kind of a step in that right direction. Because remember, everything we ever talk about is, in terms of the gun grabbers, it's baby steps for them. You know what I mean? That they're going to go for, okay, let's outlaw assault weapons. And then they'll take a step back and say, okay, not all of them, but just these. So then they feel like they've given something back, and then the pro-gun people are like, oh, you know, they didn't get what they wanted, let's give them a little bit of concession. With the bullets, if they can tax bullets, and some people are, the state of Washington I know for sure is, or at least Seattle is, they can tax your bullets, tax your ammo, tax it so hard and so heavy that you can't afford ammo, then there again, the criminals have the ammo because they're stealing. Now, probably all of us on this live stream right now, we probably have ammo, and if for some reason they decide to start taxing it real heavily tomorrow, it's probably not going to affect a lot of us for a pretty long time. It may limit the amount of our time that we go to the range now, because right now, outside of the ammo that we use for the show, Arms Corps, I still buy ammo for various things, different types of guns and all that. That might kind of limit that a little bit, but at the same time, it's the average person out there who just doesn't stockpile and doesn't, I don't want to say hoard, because I think that's a stupid term. I mean, I don't think anybody that has a bunch of ammo is a hoarder. I've got tons of ammo. I'm not hoarding it. I just got it. I just have it. But if you can make the average person who can't afford to reload, he can't afford to stockpile his ammo, and he only goes out and buys a box of ammo on the weekend whenever he's going to shoot, if you can tax the heck out of this and make it so hard for this guy, now he's having to choose between feeding his family or going out to the range. He's going to feed his family. So now you're starting to regulate the guns away by making the ammo harder to get, and that's where I think there's a problem, an issue where you're going to have people out there that just aren't going to have the ability, the expendable cash to go out there and do it. If you make all this, if you start micro-stamping these also, don't think for 1 minute that if you make a company like Arms Corps have to all of a sudden micro-stamp every single piece of brass. Now there's companies out there like Freedom Munitions who refurbish their ammo. Now they're not going to be able to refurbish that stuff anymore. Well, I guess they would, because if they're micro-stamping the primer, they would still be able to do that. But if you're going to take every single one of these and have to make them micro-stamp it, Okay, that's not just the tooling that's going to be needed to micro stamp that piece of brass now, or that primer. That's not just the tooling necessary for that, because you're going to have to develop the tooling to be able to micro stamp something that small. Plus, you're going to have to be able to set it to where you can change it, because it won't be able to be the same thing all the time. They were talking about serial numbering these things. So now it's not going to be just one stamp. You don't spend a lot of money on one stamp. It's got to be something that you can change regularly. That's an additional cost. Now, you're also going to have to log these numbers. That's an additional cost, kind of a bookkeeping cost. An accounting type person is going to have to come in there and manage all of those pieces of ammo. Keep track of it. Don't think that if it's not a government mandated thing, that the ATF's not going to get involved. You see how efficient the ATF is. Sarcasm. So now you're going to have records that are going to have to be kept, monitored, maintained, sent out, all that kind of stuff. Do you honestly think that that additional cost that the Winchesters or the Arms Corps or the Hornadies, do you think that that cost is going to be absorbed by the company or passed on to you and to me? It's going to be passed on to us. So now we're going to be paying way, way more for that. So the gun grabbers are going to win no matter what. Whether we say, oh, screw it, I'll buy that micro stamped ammo. It doesn't matter to me if it has a serial number on the primer. Well, it's going to matter because it's going to jack the price up so much that now you might not be able to afford to stockpile it. And again, the average guy going out on the weekend to go shoot his ammo, he's not going to be able to afford that. So my thing is, what happens to the brass? You know, I don't like the fact that, yeah, I guess it could happen to a gun too, but it's way more likely to happen to a piece of brass. That I go to the range, I go over there and shoot my range. I shoot, one of the ranges I shoot at over here is the Lake Charles Gun Club. I go over there, I shoot, I don't keep my brass anymore because I don't reload anymore. I scoop up all my, that's why we stockpile. That's exactly right, that's why we stockpile now. So I scoop all my brass up and I leave it for the range. You know, if I leave it there for those guys, who's to say some jackleg doesn't go out there, a criminal, somebody that's got ill intentions, can all of a sudden go grab a handful of my brass that I've just thrown away, that I just shot from my gun, that I bought, that those numbers are all logged under my name from where I just recently went and purchased them from, and they go commit a crime and toss a handful of my brass out at the crime scene. Now that gets traced back to me. How am I going to prove that? How am I going to prove I'm not the one that shot it? I clearly shot them out of my gun. I mean, if you do a residue test on my hand, I'm going to have gunpowder on my hands. So how in the world am I going to prove that I'm not the one that committed the crime? Other than, you know, obviously alibis and stuff like that, or proof that I wasn't there. You'll have to prove that. That's the thing. They're going to have their proof that you committed the crime because they're going to have the shell casing with a micro stamp serial number on it that you purchased, that you bought. And it's illegal to, remember now, it's going to be illegal to give these bullets to anybody else. So it's just like a gun transfer. If you give those bullets to somebody else, now you have to transfer those so that serial number is now tied to that next person. So you can't just give your stuff away. So now they're going to technically have the proof that I was at that crime scene because now my shell casing is sitting there. It opens up way too many doors for things to happen. I think what we have to do is, that's why the tenant doesn't exist. I'm having trouble reading y'all's comments, so I apologize for that. That's why we have to make sure that we are voting and we are making sure that we don't allow something like this to happen. I really don't. I wish I could pull that up. I'm going to find where that was and what state that was in, because I'm not sure. You know, it's going to be a liberal state. My guess is Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey. That's going to be one of those guys. I can almost guarantee it. Not that there's no other liberal states, but those guys are the ones that are leading the pack. So yeah, man, we gotta make a push against all this. And you know what? What's getting, you know, regardless of what your feelings are about the NRA, about how you feel about them, we do have to continuously remind ourselves that they are the biggest lobbying arm out there for gun rights and the Second Amendment. We cannot let the media turn us against the NRA. I saw a while ago on the news downstairs a minute ago that they are talking about the NRA is now, I forget, this kooky lady, it's some congressperson that is now trying to say that the NRA and Dana Loesch need to be labeled as almost like homegrown terrorists, like you know, an extremist group or something like that. They're trying to label them as that, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to break down the credibility of the NRA to where people start leaving the NRA, or people that aren't comfortable sticking with the NRA, and they kind of move away from it. So it's going to kind of weaken the NRA because now they won't have the money to do what they need to do to lobby. Look, lobbying has always been a four-letter word, a bad thing when you talk about it, you hear about it, but it's a necessary evil for us. We need these lobbying arms. I know there's some other lobbying arms of Second Amendment supporters out there. I think National Association for Gun Rights, I believe, is one, and there's some others. So we have to really continue to support these guys, because if we back off of them, that's the strength. You and I can't be in Washington, D.C. all the time and as much as these guys are. We can't go door to door and talk to all these congresspersons over there in Washington, D.C. like these lobbyists can. We need these lobbyists. Regardless of how dirty it feels to have lobbyists involved, these guys are fighting the fight for us, and it's very, very necessary. I don't care if they're paying somebody over there. I don't care, because if they're having to pay some dirty congressman over there to get him to vote to protect the Second Amendment, then personally, I'm okay with that, because I don't have any confidence in anybody in Washington, D.C. to do the right thing on their own. I personally feel like pretty much all of them get paid to do something. So may as well be our guy paying them so they can vote our way to protect our gun rights. Because again, the next thing you know, we're micro-stamping casings. You and I, instead of paying $25 for a box of ammo, now we're paying $55 for a box of ammo, and we're going, man, how did this happen? You know, how did this happen? How did we let this happen? All right, somebody's using language. We're not going to use the kind of language like that. I don't even know how I'm supposed to get somebody off of here, but somebody thinks they're cute sitting here putting the N-word in here. That's not cool. Oh boy, and he continues to do it. That's cute. That's real cute. We may end up ending the stream here in a minute because this clown right here. I'm going to go ahead and if anybody can get the guy who just was trying to be cute dropping the N-word in here, let me know who that is so I can go out there and I can block him from being part of this stream, because we don't need that. You know, we're all here trying to be adults, and some jackass comes in here and does something like that. That's not cute. That's not funny. You're not making anybody laugh. You're making yourself look like a fool. So maybe go ahead and kick yourself out, because we don't need you here, bud. Anyway, definitely vote for the guys that we need to, because I think there's some guys out there in Washington, D.C. that just need to go. I think we all know that. I'm always leery even about the new blood coming in there, because the new blood, I think, is going to get tainted anyway. Somebody's going to call them in there. I've often said, especially when John Boehner was in there, I never trusted John Boehner. But when you have a guy like John Boehner and you have some new young blood coming in there thinking, yeah, you know, I'm going to change things, I'm going to do something different, you know, I'm going to do kind of something innovative, I'm going to do something for my party and all this kind of stuff. And then John Boehner comes walking in there and goes, all right, you know, I appreciate all the stuff, how you won and all that kind of stuff, but it's not how we do things around here. And I think they change these guys the moment they get there. So hopefully, you know, we got midterms coming up next year. Hopefully we can make some changes there. Nothing but rhinos in California fake. You're right. I mean, it's not just California. I have lost so much confidence in politicians over the last, oh gosh, the last probably 10 years. I've lost tons of it. But anyway, I'm looking around the room trying to figure if I've gotten any new guns in or anything that we can talk about here. What are we looking like on time? Oh, we're about ready to shut it down. It's 11, let me see here. Yeah, we're about time to shut it down. 11:26, we got 4 minutes left. I want to tell all you guys, I know there's some of y'all on here because I recognize some of the names. this setup where I'm at, I'm too far from this monitor to really be able to tell what any of you guys are saying out there. So I apologize that I'm not able to take your questions as well as I'd like to. Maybe I'm trying to get set up to where I can get a bigger monitor, maybe one like this size, and I can actually read all y'all's comments. I wish the people who make the live stream device, the Mevo that we're actually filming on, I wish they would change this up a little bit to where you could actually, if you wanted to, make the comments and everything a little bit bigger, so I can read you guys stuff. Because that's the beauty of doing this stuff live. You know, you can interact with the people who are actually hanging out with you, and I like that. I mean, it's a cool feature. So yeah, I'm gonna work on that. I really am. I mean, we're kind of tweaking this, working some bugs out. You know, if we keep doing this on Friday nights, we'll get better and better at it. And you know, I'm trying to make this where it's somewhat entertaining for you guys, and it's fun to interact with. And if I'm not giving you guys the tools to allow you to interact, I'm kind of screwing up on that end of it. So I'm gonna try to make that better, to where you guys can be more a part of what we're doing when we do these live streams, because I really do value y'all being here and you know, giving me your input. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate y'all spending y'all's time here. You know, if you ever want to check any of our videos out, I know you guys are watching us on YouTube, so you may already be subscribers, but please subscribe to us. Check our videos out at legallyarnedamerica.com. Check out Legally Arned America on YouTube. You know, if you're on Facebook, you know, hit us up on there. On Instagram, hit us up on there as well. We stay pretty active on social media, so you'll see stuff from us all throughout the day and all throughout the week. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We will be back for sure next Friday night. Got kind of a busy week going on this week, and we really appreciate you guys. 10:30 Central, same time next Friday night. If we ever change any times coming up soon, I'll let you guys know. But right now, it's working out better for me on Friday nights. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you all for hanging out with us.